New year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Welcome to No Question About That. This is the Midweek Pod with me, Ed, and Dominic Booth. How's it going, Dominic?
Very good, thank you, Ed. Yeah, long time no speak.
It's been a while, actually. Yeah. I got into a mode of, I just didn't want to talk about football, honestly. So I haven't done that many pods recently. Well, I've done a couple of book interview type things, but it's really hard to think about what to talk about when it's not all just transfers. But at least we're getting back to nearly some football. I mean, United playing on Saturday, so
that feels crazy. I obviously haven't been able to switch off football because it's kind of my job to always be switched on to football. But I have found the last few weeks cricket and Wimbledon and other things have taken my attention, and it's been quite refreshing to not think about United very much. But I guess it's come around to that time when I'm going to have to throw myself back into the deep end. We're all going to have to suffer together for the next 9 months or something. So, let's do it.
Oh, dear. Suffering, it may well be.
Let's start with a really depressing note, sorry.
Yeah, well, look, there is, I think it's fair to say, a collective online freakout about United slow rolling their move or the extended negotiations for Bryan Mbeumo, which is getting everyone very worried. I keep going back to that thing that Omar Barada said in, I think it was a UWS interview, where he said sometimes it's the best thing for the club if you don't move quickly. And clearly, I think they are trying to put a line in the sand and say, hey, this is our price. We're not going further than that. And it appears, without me having any detailed knowledge of the negotiations, that Brentford may have moved the goalposts. I don't know whether it's related to their upcoming partial change of ownership or whether they just have a number that they want to hit. And this apparent Tottenham bid is lurking around. I don't know how real that is, really. But yeah, it's all very frustrating, and I'm bored of it. I'm already bored of myself when I talk about it. So there you go.
That's the problem with these transfers of United, and it's happened for years, the protracted negotiations and, like you say, the slow roll. And you start to lose the excitement for the player, and you should be really excited about the player joining United because he's a good player. He scored 20 goals last year, Bryan Mbeumo. He would improve the team. He plays in an exciting front foot United style manner, and yet we're sort of bored about talking about him. I mean, it's crazy. That's the sort of, it's like the lethargy that kicks in the summer, especially in these early summer weeks, and you can only hope that the fact that they're going on a pre-season tour very soon, and Amarin has said quite clearly, I want to have my squad together. I've got an idea of what it should look like. I only hope that spurs the sort of deal makers on to get it done.
Well, yeah, I mean, it starts to make things look a bit more complicated if it isn't done by the time they leave for tour. In a few days' time, they're going off to Sweden. I think I said on the last pod, Rosenborg, but we played there last year, didn't we? So I think it's in Stockholm at the Friends Arena or whatever it's called. Yeah, I think is it called the Strawberry Arena now? It was called the Friends Arena when we were there for the UEFA Cup final a few years back. So
yeah, Leeds in Scandinavia. I mean, it's an interesting game to kick it off with, really. How many of the sort of main names that are going to be in the squad to start the Premier League season a few weeks after is doubtful, but I guess there's no international tournament this summer to delay people coming back, and there's no United participation in the Club World Cup for sure. So, other than a few sort of names who we all know very obviously won't be back for very specific reasons, such as United don't want them anywhere near the club, the squad should be fairly well established.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, there was a few Nations League games, but everyone was back on the same date on Monday, basically. I don't think there was any, apart from any injuries. Well, Andre Onana got his injury in the first couple of days of training, but there was no special sort of dispensation. It means we had a pretty normal summer. Everyone got a nice long break and should be refreshed and going into a season where we haven't got very much football. So, yeah, fatigue should not be an excuse.
Situation that for United, no international involvement in the summer really, apart from Nations League, and no European football. Yeah, there is no excuse now. There's absolutely no hiding place. All those complaints we had last season about physicality, not running enough, and Amorim said it enough times himself. None of that should really come to the surface unless we're still as bad physically as we have been. There's no hiding place now.
Well, that last part may be true still, because they haven't done anything about the midfield yet. Yeah, that may be dependent on some exits and exactly what United's cash position is, I guess. But yeah, no, very true. We're going to get 38 games in the Premier League and at least 2 cup games, but it may not be more than that. Who knows? I mean, we will enter the League Cup early, actually. We haven't done that for a few years. Not since Lou Van Gaal and came Dons, that kind of catastrophe, I think. Wasn't one of the Van Gaal seasons without European football? Like turgid football,
yeah,
and just not very much of it either.
Came 7th under Moyes, and then there was no European football after that. I think that's the only season since around the start of the 90s where there's no European football, or my United memory doesn't go back before 93, because that's when I was born, so sorry about that.
Oh, dearie me. My United memory does. Late 80s, no European football. I mean, certainly in the mid-80s, there was none. United returned to European football in 91, right? So, first season back and won the Cup Winners' Cup. Yeah, it's going to be a very strange season coming up. I think we're all going to feel like there's not enough. Like, after getting used to a game every 3 days, even if it was crap, we had something to talk about and watch, and yeah, it's now going to drag on. Weeks are going to go by without any games. But there you go. I mean, preparation for the new season, full squad back, training. I don't know whether we've learned anything from the mini pieces of training that have been posted on the socials by the club. I don't think there's going to be any particular revolution in what Amorim's doing there. He's got Cunha there. We saw him training. Good to see. We saw Bryan Mbeumo training, but with Brentford. So he's back with a lot of change going on at Brentford, actually. I mean, obviously, Thomas Frank's gone over to Tottenham. They appointed from within the new head coach, and Matthew Benham, the owner, is selling part of the club. I don't think it's clear how much yet, but reported by some of the serious city, as in City of London, like stock exchange type reporters. So it seems to be happening, selling out to one billionaire and one filmmaker. It's an interesting consortium there.
Yeah, lots of speed change. Them up or not. None of it a transfer for Bryan Mbeumo to United, but lots of other change. It puts into mind that quote from the is it the newsreader? I can't remember his name. Simon something. He was reporting outside. Simon McCoy reporting outside the Royal Hospital when there was a birth. Lots happening here. None of it news. And that sort of feels like Manchester United's summer every single summer.
Yeah, and I guess the frustration amongst fans is that it just hasn't moved fast enough, right? And like, it's been fairly typical for United to do deals late in the window for whatever reason. Couldn't negotiate more than one at a time. Glazers keeping the purse strings tightly closed, whatever it was, right? Other clubs trying to extract the best value they could from United tax and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't know about you, but I'm not freaking out that much. It's obviously it's not very perfect for Ruben to not have much of a change in his squad. I mean, it's demonstrably weaker basically than it was at the start of last season, right? Because there are so many players ostracised from the club, and the money hasn't come in to reinvest it yet. So. But I'm not panicking that much, because I just assume that the new executive team have instructions from above that we will no longer pay the United tax. This is our fee. What maybe the panic should be that there isn't plan B, plan C, plan D if this one, or at least you want the perception of that, don't you? So after the deal and all that, you pretend to walk away. And not that we should be mentioning that dude in association with football, although I did find him very funny when he joined the Chelsea celebrations the other day.
Cole Palmer found it funny as well, which I really enjoyed.
I wasn't really sure whether Cole Palmer knew who he was. So,
either way, he was like, "Who is this guy? Get him out of the celebrations," which I fully support from Cole Palmer. We know he's a Manchester lad and he a boyhood United fan, so I can get behind quite a lot of what he does. Actually, Cole Palmer, and I quite like his completely deadpan media style as well.
It's good.
I find that amusing.
It is
just
quite amusing,
the. Am I freaking out? Am I panicking? I'm like you. I'm not yet. It's still really early days, and to be honest, like I said, I haven't given it too much thought, which has been pleasant. But the dragging the heels, the one deal at a time. We're still doing one deal at a time. We don't seem to have moved on like these other clubs, like Liverpool signing Florian Wirtz and Kerkez and Frimpong, already, and now seem to be moving for Alexander Isak.
Mm-hmm.
They've managed to do that, and they're all massive deals, and they're a big club, and there's lots of money and various clauses and agents and intermediaries involved. They're not easy deals to do, but Liverpool are doing them all, and it seems like United are still in this trend of just lagging seriously behind the rivals in the transfer market, and it's really frustrating. Maybe it will turn in the next few weeks, and I think United are right to stand their ground over a certain fee. But you mentioned having a plan B, having a plan C. Do we know who they are for Bryan Mbeumo? Has it been laid out quite clearly that, okay, we're going to move on, we're going to go after this guy instead?
Yeah, I'm not sure that has. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder whether there is not another option, and the other option is to reinvest elsewhere. So you take that Mbeumo money. If it doesn't happen, I think it does seem like it will. It's just a few million here or there. But if it didn't, you'd reinvest it in a striker or a midfielder or whatever, and replan exactly how you're thinking about the squad and the team and how they play next season. So, I mean, it is sort of Ahmad's position, isn't it? Is he going to play at wing back? Is he going to play in the front three? He won't if it's Bryan Mbeumo in there, or do they rotate things around and Cunha plays up front now and again? I'm not sure that's exactly where we'd plan to play him, but there's those permutations, I guess, if it doesn't happen. But let's assume it does. And then I guess the following transfers appear to be sell to buy. At least if you take at face value what Omar Barada has said a few times, that we are going to be living within our means. United had £95 million worth of cash in hand at the last accounts. They do have the Bank of America credit facility, which has just been rolled over. There was another 90 million on there. Only a third of the Cunha fee was paid up front. It's unclear exactly how much Brentford want up front, but there is cash there to do those two deals and maybe another one afterwards. And then after that, if they're going to be living within their means, then it's about sales. And nothing has happened on the sales front whatsoever. I have to say here, I'm probably more critical of the club than most people, because I think that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the general fan sentiment seems to be, yeah, that's right, get these fuckers out, freeze them out, force them to take a move, whether they want it or not, ostracize them, let them play with the under-21s, let's see what happens if there's a World Cup coming up, surely they're interested in that, so on, so on, so on. But again, back to sort of negotiation and strategy, United have just deleveraged themselves. They've got nothing. Like, there's no way of, especially, I mean, Garnacho should have been the one where you get a big sale, right? And it's good for accounting purposes. Marcus Rashford harder because of his large wage packet. You can't force him. He's got £45 million worth of wages left on that contract, right? There's nothing United can do about that. And Garnacho, different, younger, lower wages, should have been the one. But it's very, very hard when you have players on long contracts, especially at United where they're paid quite well, to force them out. And what are you going to do? Take the PSR hit? You're talking about tens of millions of pounds there. It's a ridiculous notion. But I just think United have not played this hand very well by signalling to the market that we are desperate.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the problem of airing your dirty laundry in public. And like you say, the Garnacho one was United's trump card, really. And if you did want to sell him, the strategy wasn't to publicly fall out with him, ostracize him, and then that brings his transfer value down, right? It just doesn't seem like the way to go about selling players. I mean, Chelsea seem like they're doing it this summer with Noni Madueke. I mean, he didn't seem like someone that they would bomb out, but it seems like he's going probably to Arsenal for quite a significant fee, a bigger fee than probably Garnacho will go for, which that seems wild to me because I think Garnacho is a superior player. As for Rashford, Sancho, they are, like you say, they're really tricky to do because the wages that they're on. There just doesn't seem to be any suitors for them unless it's a loan, and United can't just keep loaning people out or paying other clubs to take their players. It just doesn't make any sense from a financial or a footballing point of view. And then there's Antony, I guess. I think they're going to try and do a deal with Betis, but again, that's tricky. Betis haven't got a huge amount of money. So, and who else wants Antony? Well, he's not played well for anyone other than Betis for a few months, so it makes sense that they're the only ones who really want to buy him. I guess we'll see.
Well, I suppose Eric Ten Hag could come to our rescue there. And,
he's paying over the odds for everyone else at Leverkusen, isn't he? You're paying however much for Jarell Quansah and people like that. So come on, Eric, take these guys off our hands. The one thing I was reading was the positives in terms of generating some money not from sales actually, but from other people selling people who used to play for us, like Alanga going to Newcastle with a big sell-on fee for United, and Alvaro Carreras, who used to be called Alvaro Fernandez last time I checked, but is now called a different player who is now good enough to go to Real Madrid for some reason. Yeah. United didn't consider that a year or two ago. And that's another big sell-on fee. So, and against the Sancho money from Chelsea, not wanting him, that's a bit of cash down the sofa. I'm looking for positives here.
It's the final chapter of the college football playoff.
It comes down to this.
Miami's unmatched grit and tenacity through the postseason has led them home. The national title now within reach.
They are confident. They are battle-tested.
Undefeated Indiana, led by Chris Signetti and Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza, have the chance to take home their first title and claim college football immortality.
The most remarkable turnaround in the history of college football.
The College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So our orders get all backed up. We're drowning in paperwork, then actually drowning. Carol is fighting off sharks with a stapler, and pirates are pillaging the office copier, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant goes beyond the resume, using unique insights to deliver a smarter shortlist. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
It's money. There's a question mark over all of them. Did United make the right decision there? I think Alanga's fine. I mean, in the end, we'll get about 20 million out of him, the initial fee and the sell-on piece. Was that the right? He's made quite a bit of progress. He's going to a team that suits his style with, playing on the break and all of that kind of stuff. I don't think it would have worked for him under Amorim in a possession-heavy side and all of that, but who knows? He's made a lot of progress. I'm not sure I ever thought he would be a £50 million plus player. Alvaro Carreras Fernandez, Spanish naming system, isn't it? Let's just call him Alvaro. It's easier. I think that's slightly different. I don't know whether I saw him as definitely being a £50 million player, but when we played like 2 seasons without a left back, come on. And Eric Ten Hag just refused to play him. Now, that's partly to do with his development. He wasn't as physically as well-rounded as he is now. He had an okay spell at, where was it? Was it Girona? Granada.
Preston and then Granada was where he was on there.
Yeah. And then he's done really well at Benfica. So, I mean, I guess there's question marks about whether United should have sold or whether they should have activated the buyback, which was at quite a low fee. And we had that discussion when they brought in Patrick Dorgu. It may well be the player just didn't want to return either. You know, I'd have been offended, honestly, by playing Amrabat at left back rather than him.
It was anybody,
but yeah, a small fee there, like 50%. There's also sell on, which might be too big, disincentivises a sale, but he had a very good season in Ligue 1 with Marseille last season. So yeah, it doesn't seem like he's moving this summer, but down the line that also may net. And it's not a bad strategy. If you're not going to do a Chelsea and the City and sell younger players for £20 million a time, or especially City seem to just pull a player out of the reserves and go, here you go, 20 million quid is yours, and then there's a queue of people. I mean, it sort of comes with the reputation, I guess. If you're not going to do that, sell-ons at least locking some value later.
Yeah, like we say, these are like sort of rays of sunshine, and otherwise quite dark world in the United transfers at the moment. I mean, I was going to say about Alvaro is that Ahmad was another one completely ignored.
Yeah,
by Ten Hag, and kind of did well to keep him. He could have really sort of passed as new when he was being frustrated in that period under Ten Hag. Again, United had so few options. I think, was it Amari Forson started ahead of Ahmad one game?
Yeah.
I was at that game. It was Old Trafford. I can't remember who it was against, but Amari Forson just never looked like he was up to the standard. And Ahmad, even in cameo appearances between his long injury layoffs and between loan spells, always looked like he offered something. I mean, is it like more than 5 years ago, he scored against AC Milan in the Europa League quarters or something? I mean, it was an interesting point you made about Mbeumo and whether he arrives and whether that pushes Ahmad back to wing back more often. I do think the more likely scenario, and maybe some United fans won't like it, but I think the more likely one is that Mbeumo and or Cunha spend time playing as the number 9, and Ahmad plays in that favoured sort of right-sided 10 spot. I think that suits him more than the wing-back spot, and given the lack of sort of links with strikers this summer, or the way the club seem quite reluctant to go for anyone that's not quite top bracket, which is the way to go, to be honest. You don't want to sign a substandard striker. We're not going after Calvert-Lewin or Vardy or Callum Wilson or any of these silly names that we've been linked with. So
yeah.
I would prefer Cunha or Mbeumo playing, slightly out of position, but they scored 35 Premier League goals between them last season. No United forward has got near that figure for a while.
No, I mean, I don't think it's Cunha's best position playing up front. I think he sort of reinvented himself playing in a deeper role for Wolves. And Mbeumo has played up front, but it's kind of the shadow striker with Wissa, isn't it? He's done that a few times. It wouldn't be my ideal scenario. I'd like an actual proper number 9 who scores goals. It seems unlikely at this moment. Unless
but there's
it's a younger
risk
player.
That United, sorry to interrupt, there's a risk that United spend 40, 50 million on a striker who isn't guaranteed to score goals. Just because he's got number 9 written on his back, or that's his nominal position, does that make that a good signing? You know, if it's somebody that's not good enough.
Well, yeah, Højlund Mark II is no good for anyone.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. And strikers are going for, I mean, we look at the market right now. If Liverpool are interested in Isak and Newcastle are interested in Ugo Ekitike, they're both going to go for, Ekitike's 75 million quid or something like that. And Isak maybe double that. It's obviously a lot of money. United aren't in the best financial position. They're resetting the club. We always said it was going to take a couple of years. You've got to think about both United's financial cash position, burning so much money and making heavy losses for the last 5 years. That won't happen this year. They're going to guide an actual cash profit before taxes and amortization, quite a large one. We will have something like the 5th or the 6th largest wage budget in the Premier League. People should note that, I think, and set expectations accordingly. It's a very good barometer of how successful you're likely to be. And so, and then we've got the 5 that you've got to get off the books. That's going to save a lot of wages. Obviously, there were 3 players or 2 players who definitely left and a couple of returnees in coaching positions, basically. But so it's been a big reset anyway on the wage position. Once the 5 have gone, whether it's on loan or sales, that'll save quite a bit of cash as well. And so we're in this position where it may not be a massive market this year, But depending on whether United qualify for Europe next year, it could be quite a busy summer next year because United will be in a much better position financially. Depends on the deals we do this summer and exactly what the PSL position looks like and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm not surprised United are moving a bit slowly and not making these big deals, living within our means and all of that. And once we missed out on the Champions League, that's basically £100 million of guaranteed income that just went out the window.
Let's just hope that there's about 8 or 9 Premier League spots in the Champions League next year as has happened this year. That would be a big help for United.
Yeah, it certainly would be. Okay, we're on the cusp of pre-season games. As it stands, where should we set our expectations for the coming season? I mean, even with the same squad, it can't be 15th again. It just can't be. I mean, Amorim won't survive if it looks like it's going to be that kind of season again.
No, and the squad's not a 15th or 16th squad, even in its current state. No matter what sort of hyperbole you read online about how bad they all are and how they all should be sold bar Bruno, it's a top 6, top 8 squad, isn't it? Like, top 6 might be pushing it, I guess, because if they don't sign players for Amorim's system, it's still a squad that's not built for him. It's a squad built for previous managers. That's always going to be a problem unless you have a manager that survives 4 or 5 seasons. And that's a heck of a long way off for Amorim at the minute. And, the 3-4-3, implementing it halfway through the season was so problematic for so many reasons. I understand why they got Amorim when they could. But this is the proper test of him. Like we said, proper pre-season. He needs more players to play his way, but you're not telling me that some of these guys can't adapt with a full pre-season of drilling and training and adapting to whatever Amorim asks of them. So, yeah, I would like to see United finish 6th, and I think that is about as realistic and optimistic as I can be at the same time. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, look at the squad, and I don't know whether I'm not optimistic at all. So I look at the squad and I'm thinking, yeah, that should be a 6th and above type squad. The striker position is a real problem. You can't, if you don't score goals, then how do you expect to get anywhere near the European places? We haven't scored goals for 2 years now, or really since Ollie. And so that is definitely a problem if we're going to the new season with Højlund up front, unless he's had a miraculous recovery during the summer and suddenly understands how to be a number 9 again and not just fight it out with defenders for 90 minutes, then we're going to struggle even with Cunha. You get Mbeumo, there's obviously goals in those 2 players, obviously. There, in theory, should have been goals with Garnacho, Rashford, Antony and stuff. Obviously, the different reasons they have not provided it, or at least 2 of them haven't. So, I just, without a new striker, that someone who's going to get 15 to 20 a season, I struggle to see how United push beyond 6th. It just won't score enough goals. And also cannot control games with what looks like will be our midfield, right? If there's no new signings, it's going to be some combination of Bruno, Casemiro, Ugarte and Mainoo in central midfield. It's not like any of them are bad players, but there's no good combinations there for me in an Amorim system where he has sort of 2 pivots.
No, you need to duplicate. You need to duplicate Ugarte and add some passing skills to him.
Yeah,
those 2 players are the 2 players that Amorim wants in there, and it's so far off it. Like you say, Bruno playing deep isn't perfect. It has problems, and you would have thought Casemiro will be fading physically even more than he has been, in the next season. So, I remember we did a podcast after the draw against Liverpool at Anfield. Do you remember that? It was quite a promising performance on the ball from United. Mm-hmm. And it was Ugarte and Mainoo who played in there. Mm-hmm. And we sort of prophesized that would then become the starting midfield duo and that they kind of complement each other's skills and both could be that sort of 6.5, 8 that Amorim wants. But Mainoo's a worry for me. And it's probably not the biggest issue in pre-season, but I want to see him come back looking more mobile and looking like he's sort of got the bite and there's just all-round work rate that Amorim obviously requires in there, because we've seen Mainoo thrive as the third man in a three in midfield, thrive with England at the Euros doing that. Mm-hmm. And he managed to cope in a Ten Hag donut system doing that. So I just think he's too good a player to not succeed under Amorim. I hope we see it.
Yeah, look, it's a big red flag for me. If Amorim can't find a way to play this guy with all the talents he's got, I mean, are we saying we're going to kick him out, or he's going to be a bit part player this season in a campaign where we haven't got much football? That could be a scenario in which his development is halted. He's obviously had a couple of injuries last season, didn't help him. I think physically, from what the pieces I've seen of pre-season, he looks very good, right? He's put some muscle on. He looks like they all look like they're super slim. I'm sure they've had a program this summer. Even Luke Shaw came back looking very tight, sub 10% body fat percentage and all of that, So they're all looking pretty good. But yeah, Mainoo, physicality, and just be braver with the passing. We know he's got the skills. I mean, if it's going to be any combination. So look, if it's Mainoo and Bruno, Mainoo actually gets very good numbers for interceptions, tackles, blocks, all the defensive kind of stuff. I just think in that Ten Hag system where it ended up being 3 against 1, he got pretty exposed. I don't think it's his perfect position, a sort of 6.5 at all. I think you're right. In a 3 in midfield, he's the man who is able to carry the ball. He's very press resistant. It's a good complement to maybe a more defensive player and a passer, right? In Ten Hag's system, it doesn't feel like an easy fit. So much so that he tried him in the number 10 system. But if we're bringing Mbeumo and Cunha, and we've got Ahmad and Bruno, how often is he going to play at number 10, right? It's just not going to be that often. And so, the red flag is Amorim can't find a way to get the best out of a very high-level talent, right? And it's not like, when Marcus Rashford came through, it was a bit of a surprise, honestly. I don't think we all looked at Rashford in the reserves and were like, definitely going to happen. And he had a very steep development curve. Garnacho, you looked at him and he stood out. In that Youth Cup run, he stood out. Kind of, I think we always expected him to make a way to the first team. And Mainoo was so fucking brilliant. Me and Dan were going on about it for 2 years about when do we get this guy in the team? When do we get this guy in the team? He's just, you look at him and he's classy right from the word go. And so if Amorim can't find a way to get that into his team, it's kind of worrying. But it is the balance as well, because is it Mainoo and Agate? Well, then where does Bruno play? If it's Mainoo and Bruno, I don't feel like the balance is right there. If it's Bruno and Casemiro, I'm really worried, right? And I thought actually Bruno was better at number 8 than I expected him to be. He adapted his game. He was a bit more conservative. He still created chances and all of that. But, Ugarte is half a player, isn't he? He does all that tackling and running and kicking and fighting and all of that kind of stuff, but get him on the ball and he can't pass it further than 5 yards without it being a horrible mess. No.
That's why I like the idea of him and Mainoo together, really, because I thought that Mainoo could, like you say, be a bit braver with his passing and be that guy to progress the ball, and then you pick Bruno in the 10 role. Yeah, it's a massive question mark over that whole midfield and the way that midfield works, because we just seem to be outnumbered against everybody last season. There wasn't a single team that we played where we looked like we had the run of the midfield and we could pin them back and press them and grab hold of it. And that was because we sort of had 2 against 3 or sometimes 4. Teams play box midfields and United were playing 2. Really, that midfield should work as a 4 with the 10s dropping in, and you should have the options then of the wing backs or the spare men, but it didn't work. I'm still sort of quite confused why it didn't exactly work. Mm. And maybe it is a physical thing and a system thing, and players getting used to where exactly they need to be running, because it was a really odd fit, and there were players in that who I thought would adapt to the system who haven't yet. And like you say, pre-season's the time for it to happen.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use, helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Good morning, Crust. It's a great day to be a bread brother.
Ugh, mornings are not my jam. Or jelly.
Oh, come on. Stop loafing around.
I just woke up feeling hollow inside.
Psst, just grab one of the new Morning Uncrustables sandwiches, like Bright-Eyed Berry or Up and Apple, filled with 12 grams of protein and tons of deliciousness. Crust, what are you eating?
It's just granola, not even yogurt.
No crust, no fuss. Uncrust your mornings.
I mean, one of the things that is great about preseason is we all often get a look at some of the youngsters. It's not obvious there are youngsters coming through in central midfield that are ready right now. I mean, we've seen bits of Toby Collier. He has his limitations. I mean, not least he's always injured, which is unfortunate for him. Maybe we'll see some more of him this summer. It's not obvious to me that he's going to make it at United at all. And then others that we've seen sort of in a very successful academy side and under 23s. I mean, the Fletcher brothers both sort of playing there. I don't think they're ready yet. We will likely see some youngsters go on tour in other positions. So, I mean,
maybe Jack Morehouse, I think.
Jack Morehouse, yes. Yeah. We'll probably see him on tour, actually. And we'll definitely see Chido Obi. And then Godol Kukoni, who's just about to sign his first sort of professional contract. I imagine we'll see him on tour as well. Defender, I think he had 5 or 6 appearances on the bench last season without actually playing. And obviously Aidan Heaven, who I guess we don't really think of a youngster now, is already established in the first team, and probably Tyler Fredrickson, who I imagine will go on loan somewhere this season, but he was given a squad number. So we'll see about that one. But it isn't like you can drop some of these youngsters directly into midfield yet. Or maybe one of them surprises us in pre-season. And we've got 4 Premier League sides we're playing: Leeds, Everton, Bournemouth, and who else? West Ham? Burnley? Can't remember. Who's the third one in the US? I totally forget.
Bournemouth,
Everton...
West Ham, I think.
West Ham, yeah. And then Leeds before that. And then the game against Fiorentina at Old Trafford. I mean, it's a bit of a meh.
I mean, pre-season is always a bit like that anyway. I mean, I sometimes pick and choose as how much I watch. Certainly not staying up through the middle of the night to watch games. It's the right time for you if it's in the US. So you can fill me in, Ed, I'm sure, on all the excitement.
I will be in England.
Well, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Watch the cricket in England instead.
Yeah, much better. Yeah. Yeah, it is a bit. I prefer it when you play a local side. It just seems a bit more interesting. It's something a bit different, isn't it? Although those 2 games they played in postseason against ASEAN 11 and Hong Kong or whatever it was, that had zero interest for me. I
felt really odd to see the sort of big media outlets doing live blogs and sending reporters out there and sort of covering it really seriously when the United squad were clearly uninterested. It was just a complete, it was a complete farce, really, wasn't it? I mean, it didn't do anyone any favours. They say they earned the club quite a bit of money, but really, I think from a PR and image point of view, it was a disaster.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll make a lot of money out of this summer tour as well. I mean, between 20 and 30 million is pretty typical. There's the fee they'll get from NBC for broadcasting the summer series, and part of the gate receipts. I mean, there's a promotion company that is organising it all. But in 3 big stadiums in Chicago, New York, and Atlanta, they'll probably sell them all out. I mean, they didn't sell out the game in Vegas last summer, but that was it's a bit of a weird, it's not really a football town, Vegas. They don't even have a local club, really. So, but they should get good numbers at Soldier Field and MetLife, where the World Cup final will be held, which isn't the ideal. I think we saw during the Club World Cup, it's not ideal for fans, that one. And then Atlanta, right? Allianz, what's it called? Is it called the Allianz Stadium, Atlanta? Something like that. Or Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
There are about 12 Allianz stadiums, so it wouldn't surprise me.
They're all sponsored
Mercedes-Benz,
here.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium, yeah. Another nice one. And that is a football town. I mean, they get huge crowds for Atlanta FC or whatever it's called. Atlanta United. So that's the only interest, really. I just the playing other Premier League sides. We're going to have enough of that as it is. But
I'm just very interested in those quotes from Amorim and how much he gets what he wants with the squad forming in pre-season and how close to the actual Premier League first 11 we get to see in those games. Whether there's any notion that the system is becoming more bedded in. And obviously the arrival of signings to fit into that system, they are the things that I'll be looking out for in pre-season. I think the thing with the youngsters is, like you say, they often play in pre-season, then you never see them again. So how much do you read into their performances? I always remember the likes of Andreas Pereira as a young player, pre-season Pirlo and all that, shining in pre-season and then going off to Spain for 2 years on loan or something. So it's sort of take it with a pinch of salt stuff, isn't it, sometimes?
Well, Harry Amas played through last season's pre-season and was very good. And then we didn't see anything of him again until the end of last season. Yeah. So, yeah, that is very true. That could well be the case. I mean, United can't go into this undercooked. So I wonder, it'll be interesting to look at how strong Amorim goes with his team. Obviously, they're building up their fitness and all of that kind of stuff. So, fair enough if they only play 45 minutes on Saturday and build up the minutes through the preseason program. But also, look at that first 8 games. And he could be out of it. I'm being hyperbolic, of course, but he could be out of a job after those first 8 games if it's a disaster, and it could well be, right? There's a lot of tough games in there. So if you go first 8, it's nothing. But it's quarter of the season. We're not going to have much football this season. And so I think the alarm bells were going off quite quickly if it's really bad at the start of the season. So they have to be prepped. The system has to be right. There's no more excuses on that piece. Now, it looks like he's going into pre-season and maybe even the start of the season without the level of change in the squad he may have wanted. But still, it cannot be a systemic thing. You cannot go, they don't understand this system anymore. It's just impossible. That if that is true, I may well be going Amorim out because, if after 8 or 9 months with this squad, he can't get them playing the way he wants. Now, if the players aren't of high enough quality, that's one thing, right? So that's a different thing. That's not his fault. Really, that is the fault of 10 years of mismanagement in the transfer market, horrendous mismanagement that's got us to this financial position and with a squad that just doesn't look quite right. But the system and how they play within it and do they understand their roles, that's on Amorim.
Yeah, and he also might be going into pre-season and even the start of the season without his first choice goalkeeper. Now, I know we've discussed whether a new goalkeeper should be signed, and I sort of know what I think about that. It doesn't seem highly likely at this point, but Onana out with a pre-season hamstring injury. Does Bryan Mbeumo come into the equation? He's not really impressed too much when he's been given the opportunity, but it kind of seems like a big marquee goalkeeper signing is on the back burner as things stand. So what happens there?
Yeah, and part of the problem there is the price you'd need for Onana to sell him to meet his book value is still quite high. And after 2 years, I mean, it's nearly £30 million anyway. So, could you
not
buy?
Not going to get after 2 years of throwing the ball into the back of the net.
No, he's not exactly been enhancing his reputation, has he? So that's the challenge, and I think the financial position means they're not going to bring in a number one, a proper number one at the kind of fees you'd expect to pay. Unless it's a surprise purchase. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Botafogo's John, right? So is he good enough to be the number one at United, or would they be bringing him in as a cheap number 2 and Altay Bryan Mbeumo can go off somewhere else because he used to be an international, right? He probably had an expectation he might play a little bit. He had that one. I don't know whether you'd even call it impressive game against Arsenal in the Cup. Right? I mean, because he managed to chuck a couple of goals in before he was impressive. So I don't know whether that was impressive or not. But he doesn't fill me with any kind of confidence. Played against Tottenham as well and chucked one in, didn't he, from the corner. So it's a real worry. I don't know how anyone could have confidence in any of these keepers at all. Honestly, I don't know whether Onana's managed to reset himself over the summer and come back fresh and whatever he needs to be able to concentrate for 90 minutes. But now he's pulled a hamstring and he'll be out for weeks.
Yeah, it's probably a setback because you would like him maybe to gain a bit of confidence over pre-season. Because over the course of the last season, he went from being actually performing quite well according to the stats. I know United fans have had a bit of an issue with him for some time. I think mainly over his distribution, which has never lived up to the hype, really. He's never seemed to be that ball-playing keeper that he arrived with the promise of being. But he did keep out goals for quite a bit, and that just completely deserted him for the second half of last season and flipped on its head. I think we've said on the podcast before, he's affected by his mistakes. He's quite a confidence keeper. I think keeper's the last position you really want to be a confidence player, but that mistake, I think it was against Gibbs White at home to Forest when he just dived when he didn't need to. He could have stayed where he was. That seemed to sort of precipitate a run of errors, high-profile errors, and he never recovered. And the fact that Bayern did come in for a bit when Onana wasn't injured, destabilised it even more. So, yeah, God knows where United stand with the keeper situation with the injury.
Yeah, probably a couple of youngsters. I mean, the third choice is Tom Heaton, right? He signed another contract. It's not for him to be a coach. He's there for training purposes. I wouldn't expect him to play at all in the main season. Maybe he will on tour. There's Eli Harrison, who's done really well with the under-23s. And
Radek Vitek.
That's it, Vitek, not Vivek. Vitek coming back when he's been playing in Austria, right? So I have no idea whether these two are ready or not. I mean, Vitek has apparently impressed on loan. He's 21. Is he ready to make the step up to the kind of scrutiny you get as a United keeper? I mean, that's the thing. You can have brilliant stats, as Onana did have for the first half of the season, in terms of his post-shot expected goals against data, and it was like 5 or 6 goals up there. So, it saved 5 or 6 goals more than the average keeper would be expected to do. But if you let one in through your hands or over the top of your head or whatever, everyone loses confidence, including your teammates. And so it's just that very specialist position where you may want a brilliant keeper like Dave, who would save something that no one else would be able to, one of those 1% ones. But if then the distribution goes or it's going through your legs, then just everyone just loses confidence very quickly. And that's the hard thing for younger keepers. Yeah, especially United with the scrutiny that will be on them from millions of people worldwide and all the press.
Yeah, the only rumbling sort of under the surface that I occasionally hear, and that I am, against my better judgment, I am in favour of, is the Emi Martinez rumours. And I noticed that as we record today, Villa have signed a goalkeeper from Brest. Whether he's a number one or not, I can't tell you.
I think he's replacing Robert Olsen, but who knows? Yeah. I don't know if he's a good keeper or not. But yeah,
I like the idea of an arrogant so-and-so like Emi Martinez being United's goalkeeper. And again, I don't like the guy, but I think he'd be better than Andre Onana.
Well, he makes mistakes as well, Emi Martinez, quite a lot of them, but he's got that kind of personality where he's like, I don't care.
It's not going to affect him,
Onana seems to internalise it a lot. Yeah, he's on the phone to BetterHelp to sort his head out after every mistake, and not sponsored. But if you want to sponsor us, that's fine.
Podcasts are sponsored by BetterHelp.
Most of them, so, yeah. That's probably why it popped into my head. That's your one freebie. Sign up at /engagement.
It's a razor company, Ed.
Oh, yeah. I did that once before. It was very embarrassing. The specialist razors for gentlemen's parts.
They'll
read out those ads. They paid us quite a lot, so I got over my embarrassment. But there you go.
Money talks, eh?
That's it. I've sold out. Once I start host reading Chinese betting companies, you'll know it's all gone.
Well, we're all a few steps away from doing that, so that's the football content machine, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, that's how the game works. Yeah, about 3 Premier League clubs will be all sponsored by the same betting company, just with different logos. This sort of white labelled Asian betting market thing that's going on at the moment, and I do wonder. I mean, it's a separate question. Like the Premier League's going to have to wean themselves off They've said they're going to stop doing front of shirt betting. I can't remember, in 2 years' time or something like that. But it's one of those drugs, that and crypto. Yeah, it's kind of unsavoury, isn't it? A lot of these companies don't even have a UK presence at all. You can't check on the legitimacy of them and all of that kind of stuff. So, but I haven't quite gone there yet.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. Well, Leeds on Saturday. Then what kind of? I mean, we'll see wholesale changes. It'll be 45 minutes and 45 minutes, if that, for some of the players in Stockholm. But yeah, what are we looking for? Rays of hope somewhere in here.
Well, the one benefit of playing Premier League teams in pre-season is that they're at the same stage of their sort of fitness as United will be, because sometimes you come across teams whose seasons start earlier or something and they're a lot sharper and you've lost, and then confidence ebbs away because you've lost, but they're fitter, they've all played 90 minutes and stuff like that. So I think it is just about fitness, cliche, it's about fitness, it's about getting people sharper, running around, and it's about the system. It's not going to change as far as Amarin's in the building. Everyone needs to get used to that. And that includes the players. If anyone isn't on board by this point, I would suspect Amarin will root them out soon, given those quotes that I keep repeating about him having his team together, having the system in place. Yeah, I'd like to see Cunha on the park in a United shirt. That's always exciting in pre-season. It's always good to see. Don't read anything into his performance, guys, but him and Bruno's link-up is something to get excited about in the coming weeks.
What disparaging nickname could we come up with for Matheus Cunha after his disastrous 45 minutes against Leeds on Saturday?
Yeah, what will he be labelled as? Lazy Cunha and he gets through 45 minutes, or prima donna fails to have a shot against Leeds? Or let's maybe lay off him for a few weeks, everyone. But sure, that won't happen because it's United.
It won't happen. Yeah, people were reading far too much. 5 things we learned about Matheus Cunha's 27 minutes against Leeds.
Don't joke, because I've done those articles. I've been there in the trenches trying to figure out, can I read anything into this game against Morecambe's under 21s or something for some youngster played in? And it's very hard sometimes.
You got to do what you got to do. Yeah. Fitness, a few nice goals, some decent performances, maybe a surprise for one of the youngsters. 0 injuries. We could.
That's top of the list. Absolutely, yeah. 0 injuries, and put Bruno in cotton wool as much as you can.
Absolutely, and then the powers that be, the bean counters, can do the deal for Bryan Mbeumo. I know you want to draw a line here and say we're not stepping over that, but at some point you've got to get it done, and then work on those exits for as much as we can argue about the different players of the 5, right? It's clear they're not part of the squad, so they need to be moved on. Unfortunately, I think some of these may run to the end of the window because United, as I said, have no leverage, and so other clubs will be looking at that. And it would be nice to get some actual fees, but the longer it drags on, the more likely it is, I think, that we'll be looking at loans. Not Sancho, because there's no point loaning him, but it's basically giving him away.
It's like we keep taking our scrap metal to the tip, and the tip's always closed.
Yeah,
and we keep devaluing the metal every time we go. So
yeah, at some point we're leaving it on the corner. Yeah,
just leave it on the side of the street and someone pick it up. Yeah.
Dear me. All right, I think we'll leave it there. Dominic, thank you very much.
Pleasure, Ed. Thank you.
Listeners, viewers, wherever you are, you can catch us on YouTube, all the usual apps. Patreon.com/NQATpod if you want to get our extra show. Or if you're feeling very generous in these tough financial times, you can even get merch tier. Which is always, people like the mugs, but it's such a pain to post them. So I was thinking of moving on from the mugs, but at the moment it's a mug. Or you can catch us on Apple Podcast subscriptions as well, just for the extra show. We'll see you next time after United 5, Leeds 0 at the weekend. Come on, Reds.